Hey guys, welcome back to the Diaries of M. My goodness. I just came back from a beautiful afternoon tea at the Waldorf Astoria at the Peacock Alley, and I tried to do this vlog there, but I believe there was a senator or some kind of person in power here in DC where it was really awkward to film this vlog. In that setting, being that she had security guards around her and they were very curious about what I was doing. So I'll pop some clips here around her and her security men. But I just came back home after my excursion and I'll film it here. But this episode is going to be about my love story as a transgender woman. I feel like finding love as a trans woman can be very, very difficult, being that there are a lot of men that fetishize trans women and don't really want to have that long term relationship with us, right? So I feel like sharing my story would give some insight as to how I maneuvered it. And really, I mean, I think I was just really lucky, honestly. However, I do have some tips and tricks that any trans woman can use as their weapon to help find them a decent man for long lasting love. Okay, so starting back from the beginning, this is maybe a year or two after my transition. I was on almost every dating site, Bumble, OkCupid, you name it, I was on it. It's ridiculous. So I had a lot of dates. Don't get me wrong. I had dates almost literally every weekend and sometimes multiple dates within one day, which wasn't ideal. This was me being young, about maybe what, 12 years ago now. I was around 24 and I had my career in motion. I bought my first house at this age as well. So I felt like, okay, so I have my career and everything underway. Everything was to my liking. Now I wanted to really focus on my love life and finding that perfect partner. So I went on dates, had great dates, and these men, I would tell them right from the get go that I was transgender on the dating site. So that way there were no incidents of, them not knowing and feeling a type of way and me getting into harm's way. I did not want that at all for myself. And plus, I was proud to be trans. And me showcasing my proudness and what I've accomplished as a trans woman in the dating realm, I felt was only gonna be a asset, not a hindrance, with telling them all this stuff during the date. So they knew prior to the date and all that stuff, and everything was great. I mean, the only thing, of course, as I've mentioned, is the long lasting relationship, right? I would have dates, repeat dates, third dates, you name it, but it would never end up with having that title of boyfriend and girlfriend moving forward to something that was long lasting. So after a year of this type of back and forth, I was like, okay, I'm getting frustrated. What can I do to help weed out these guys that only are here for the physical? So I would tell them, straight up, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something and someone that is very long lasting. And if that's not something that you can offer to me as a trans woman, then please let's just not waste our time and just move on. So that's one asset or one maneuver that I did to kind of weed out the guys from the rotation or from the actual selection, the pool. And I did that and dated more, of course. Nothing really came to fruition. There were a couple of prospects that, I had really, really good connections with, but either they were damaged from someone cheating on them in the past that led to this going nowhere, or, they were scared about their family. It was just, whatever. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I didn't let that deter me. I did keep it moving forward, of course. And how I met my husband now was in a hopeless place, just like that Rihanna song. We found love literally in a hopeless place. So we met on Instagram and he friended me and was liking all of my videos, my stories, what have you. And I noticed it because it was, very frequent. So I went to his profile and saw all of his pictures. I was like, oh, he's kind of cute. And I liked him back and friended him, of course. And we didn't really make any moves because I think he had a girlfriend at the time, and they actually broke up maybe 6 months after we friended each other. And I noticed this maybe about 3 weeks after they broke up, 4 weeks, maybe a month after. So I DM'd him first. I was like, hey, I noticed that you liked some of my videos. I like your stuff too. You seem really cool. I like your style. And from then on, we just started chit chatting almost on a daily basis after work about, how our day was and everything, just the normal courtship, right at the very beginning. And that turned into us kind of getting on the phone. We were having, moving our conversations from Instagram to actually calling each other after work and seeing how we were and, touching base. It was almost on a daily basis. He would text me in the morning, everything like that, the cutesy stuff, and after work as well, and also during lunch breaks. So it seemed that we were hitting off pretty well. Of course, this is long distance. He didn't live here in DC, he lived across the country. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want to, nix this without, seeing where it can go. I want to keep my eggs, full with different kinds of opportunities here. So that's what I did. And we moved our daily telephone calls to actually video calls, Skyping. We would have weekly Skype dates where we would pick a movie on Instagram, or excuse me, not Instagram, on Netflix or Amazon Prime, whatever. We would switch off picking movies and we would Skype each other, FaceTime each other, and watch those over popcorn. And that was really cute. That actually was a really, really fun time during our courtship that I would never forget. It was cool. So after about a year of that, we were talking for about maybe a year and a half this way, long distance, without ever really meeting each other in person. So the first time that we wanted to meet each other, he came out here. He flew out to DC and stayed with me in my condo. And I took him around the city, showed him around. And that was our very first interaction in person. And we hit it off even more. It was wonderful. It was great. And he liked me. I liked him. I flew out there to the West Coast and saw his city, and that was really lovely. I met his mom when I came out there, his sister, and all of that stuff. And I told him when we were, talking about me coming out there, hey, I didn't want any kind of assumptions or anything. Let's just tell them that I'm trans because it feels like, we're getting a little bit serious here with us, kind of flying back and forth between our respective cities. I didn't want there to be any bad blood or anything. I want them to know who I was and judge me for who I was as a person and my character rather than, people's assumptions about how trans people are. So he told them they knew about me this entire time, and they hit it off. They loved me and I loved them, and to this day we have a great connection. All of his siblings and and I couldn't have asked for a better, in-law family. They have been great. They've accepted me. I've accepted them, and I truly am blessed and lucky in this regard. I do not take this for granted by any means, but yeah, so I met his mom. She was sweet and everything. And one of our first dates when I went to go visit him was he booked this dinner river cruise that we did, and I never saw the city, so I got to see the city on the boat from the water and at night, and it was beautiful. The dinner was beautiful, the drinks, the dancing, everything. It was really magical. So we did that, and that was really special. So I flew back. Um, in awe with finding this amazing man. And I was like, okay, this is getting serious. And he felt it too. So our next conversation was, okay, what do we want to do? Because the long distance can't last forever. One of us is going to have to move. So I was open to moving to the West Coast. I was born here in Washington, D.C. I grew up an Army brat and moved all over the country. I lived in Hawaii, other places. So I was accustomed to moving. Um, and it seems that he was as well. So we decided on him moving here because his job was easier to migrate over here. And that's what we did. So he applied for a job here while he was on the West Coast, and he got the job and he moved here. So he drove across country after he got the job. And I remember to this day, my girlfriends and I were watching because we were sharing our locations on our phone, and we would watch him as he was driving across country, like, oh, he's in Wisconsin, or oh, he's in Iowa now, just watching his trajectory. And that was so fun. In hindsight 2020, I tell him all the time that I probably, thinking back, should have flown out there to the West Coast and made that trek across the country with him. That would have been an amazing road trip because I've never seen the Midwest of the US. So that would have been really cool. And then also just to have that experience together, right? But it's okay. Hindsight's 2020. But he moved here. This is about 8, 9 years ago now. And since then, we've lived together for all of that time, and then just recently got married earlier this year, as you saw in our prior vlog. So that is my love story. Now, being trans, I think some tips that really helped me with finding love and finding quality men, for one, is, just how you carry yourself. I know when a lot of trans women, especially myself, when we first transition, we're on hormones, but we're feeling, tea and cunt and all this stuff. We want to, kind of rekindle and be the most femme fatale woman we can be. And that's being scandalous, dressing scandalously, and kind of carrying ourselves in that stripperish kind of light, where I had that moment for maybe about a year and a half. And one thing that I said in my prior vlog that I'll say again here is that my mom, she was talking to me, and one thing that she told me was, she gets that I'm transitioning, and she's well behind me on that transition. But figure out what kind of woman you want to be and how you want to portray that womanhood to the world. And, after hearing that, I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm portraying myself in this way that is viewed negatively. And most women who are portrayed this way don't have long lasting relationships. Men want them for the physical, and they're not the women that you would typically bring home to mom, right? So after, kind of mulling through that question, I was like, okay, my mom is very elegant, very classy woman, and she's one person that I would love to be and have aspired to be since that question was asked to me. So I kind of rerouted my whole outlook on the woman that I wanted to be, how I, dressed, how I carried myself into one that was elegant and timeless. And I think that really helped me find quality men that, saw me more than just the physical aspect of something that they sought to be after. They're like, oh, this trans woman actually has substance to her. She's different from the norm, and she can be someone that I can bring home to my mom and won't have these thoughts around, oh my gosh, what has my son brought home, and where is this going to go? That's just, what my gut is. And I get that every trans woman has their own womanhood, their own story, and men may sometimes gravitate to that, and that's perfectly okay. But in the grand scheme of things, what I've noticed is that, most men want women who are of quality and who carry themselves with dignity and respect. And that's one thing that I feel like I really use to my advantage when looking for good quality men, and also the place that you go to meet men. Yes, dating apps are out there, but I feel like those don't really help in the grand scheme, and even social media. I said a hopeless place, we met in a hopeless place. And I truly mean that, because Instagram and all these dating apps are not ideal, because there are so many selections that men can swipe and choose from, that, they have all these cards and all of these options. Who who would choose one person when there could be always someone that comes behind that's a better option or whatever, and that's just life. But I feel like it's easier with these dating apps, personally. So I think the best place to meet men, looking at it now, if I could go back and do things a little bit differently, although I'm happy with my husband, I'm happy with my life. If I was to give advice, I would say in a public space, choose spaces that are of caliber. Like, for instance, my afternoon tea event, there were many senators there. There are many businessmen there having, drinks among their colleagues. And I feel like if you go there, even by yourself. I went by myself, I'm married, whatever. Men who are single are going to be there, who are seeking that quality woman to complete him. And you'll be surprised. There are a lot of men, especially politicians, I'm sure, who are in love with trans women. and would be happy to be with a trans woman of quality. I promise you. So that's one venue, afternoon tea, the Peacock Alley, Waldorf Astoria. Look for high quality bars, speakeasies in your area where affluent men frequent, you know? It could be affluent as in business or affluent as in sports, whatever your type of man is, there is a space for that. And I would just recommend that you find that space, whether it's a rave bar or what have you. Having that in person connection will go a long way. So, that is my love story. I wanted to make this quick and sweet, nothing too crazy, just straight to the point. So I hope this helps those out there who are trans and looking for love. It's not easy, but I want to say keep at it. You will find your Prince Charming, and I promise he will be the best thing for you. So, with that said, feel free to like, subscribe, and share this video. And thank you so much to all the subscribers who have subscribed recently from my other videos about around transgender topics. It means the world to me. And as I've said before, we're a family here. When one of us succeeds, we all succeed. So if there's any questions that you have for me, nitty gritty, please feel free to email me, follow me on social media. I will be here as your sister to help you through the trenches. But with that said, I will see you guys in our next video, and I will see you then. Take care.